Hello everyone, welcome back to LogicBase Labs. I hope you are doing awesome. Today I am super excited to share another important JavaScript concept with you, event propagation technique. We will dive into event bubbling and event capturing. Earlier I made a video on event delegation, which is actually a part of event propagation. That topic needed a separate video, so you will find the link to that in this video description. By the end of this video, you will understand how bubbling and capturing work and be ready to tackle some tricky interview questions related to them. Let's get started. Let's begin with a simple example. First, what is event propagation? The word propagation means spreading or moving from one place to another. It comes from the English verb propagate, and propagation is the noun form. Simply put, it's about moving up, down, or spreading along a specific path. We already know how events work in JavaScript, but the question is, in what order do these events run? That whole process is called event propagation. To make it clearer, let's look at the example in the browser. You can see a button inside a form, and that form is inside a parent div. The green part you see is the form, and the purple border around it is the parent div. If we look at the index.html for this example, you will see there's a div, the parent. Inside it, a form, and inside the form, there is a button. The styles you see are coming from a style.css file. I will share the code on GitHub so you can check it out if you want. That's our current setup. Now, if we add separate event listeners to each of these three elements, one for the button, one for the form, and one for the parent div. When you click the button, the event should fire in all three places, right? Because the button is inside the form and the form is inside the parent div. So, which order do the event listeners run in? Does it go from child to parent or the other way, from parent to child? This whole process is called event propagation. In other words, the order in which events run is what we call event propagation. That's the main definition. Event propagation has three parts: event bubbling, event capturing, and event delegation. I have already made a video about event delegation, and you will find the link in the video description. Today, we will dive into bubbling and capturing. Let's say our script.js file is attached to index.html. In script.js, I have selected the three elements: the parent div, the form, and the button, using document.getElementById. Each has a click event listener function, and all of them use a common function as the listener. So, when you click the click here button, you will see do something logged 3 times in the console. Now, which output comes first and which comes later? To figure this out, you could use separate listeners. But since we are using a common function, we need to use the event object. Inside the event object, there's event.target property, which tells us which element was actually clicked. So, console.log event.target lets us know the real target element. If you watched the previous event delegation video, you will understand this part even better. There, we saw that event.target gives us the HTML element that was targeted. Now, if we refresh the browser and click the click here button, you will see the button element logged 3 times. That's natural because target means where the click happened. Since you click the button, it shows the button each time. But the interesting thing is, when you click, not only the button's listener fires, but also the forms and the parent div's listeners fires also. Yet, the target is always the button in all 3 cases. So, the output looks the same. If you want to know which listener is being called, you need to use event.currentTarget. Now, if you click the button again, you will see first the button, then the form, and the parent div. So, the event is moving from child to parent. Since we didn't configure anything, the events are running in their default behavior, moving from child to parent. First the button, then the form, then the parent. This default order is called event bubbling. What does bubbling means? The word comes from bubbles. Think about what happens when you blow soap bubbles. They rise from the bottom to the top. In the same way, events move upward. That's why it's called event bubbling, right? Now, we clearly see that event.target and event.currentTarget aren't the same. This is a common interview question. For example, if you don't use event.currentTarget and just log this in the console, what happens? Let's check. See, this actually returns the same element. So, inside an event listener, this refers to current target. That means this is equal to current target. Let's understand what current target means. Current means the one that's active at the moment. For example, when you click the button, the main target is the button. So in all three cases, target is the button. But current target changes step by step. In the bubbling process, the event is first on the button. So current target is the button. Then when the event propagates to the form, current target becomes the form. Finally, when it reaches the parent, current target is the parent div. This current target is what you get as this inside the event listener. So if you get asked in an interview, you can simply answer this and event.currentTarget to the same thing. You can even get different information from current target. For example, currentTarget.className gives you the class and this.tagName gives you the tag name. So when you click the button, the output will be button, then form, and then div, just like in our markup. Isn't that cool? Now, we clearly understand how event.currentTarget, event.target, and this work together, even though they are different. We have also got a good grasp of bubbling process. So that's great. Let's see what happens if we want to reverse the default bubbling flow. By default, the event goes from bottom to top. But what if we want it to go from top to bottom? It's simple. You need to use the third parameter in the event listener. In this third parameter, you can pass an object with a property called capture. By default, capture is false. If you want the event to go from top to bottom, set capture to true. Now, when you click the button in the browser, you will see the parent div fires first, then the form, then the button. So, the default order is reversed. This process is called event capturing or trickling. It's the opposite of bubbling. So, we have seen two types of propagation, default bubbling and capturing or trickling. That's also event delegation, which I have already shown in a previous video. Finally, here's a fun fact for job interviews. Sometimes the order of your events can be random. Suppose you have a requirement and you have removed the third parameter. In the interview, you are told when you click the button, the forms listener should fire first, meaning the button's immediate parent comes first, then the button's listener, and finally the parent div's listener. You might think by default bubbling means the button fires first, then the form, then the parent. But here they want the form first, then the button, then the parent. So what should you do? Remember, if you set capture to true on all elements, then by default capturing will make the parent fire first, then the form, then the button. But we want the form first, button second, and parent at last. So setting capture to true on all won't work. You need to think step by step. Set capture to true only on the forms listener. Keep capture false on the buttons listener, and also keep capture false on the parents listener. If you set it up this way, the form fires first, then the button, then the parent. Got it? The key is to bring the button's immediate parent into the capturing method and keep the parent div in normal bubbling. So just set capture to true on the forms listener. Understand that by default, when you click the button fires first, then the form, then the parent. But if you set capture to true on the forms listener, the event fires on the form first, then the button, and the parent div's listener fires according to bubbling. So first the form, then the button, then the parent. Just the order you want. Because capturing is applied only to the form and not to the parent. So the parent follows bubbling. This is a question that often comes in interviews in different ways. But if you know the step-by-step process and fully understand bubbling and capturing, you won't have any trouble. I hope this example helped you see how it works. Here's a final trick. Sometimes there's a shortcut for the third parameter. Instead of passing an object, you can just write true. By default, it's false. If you only want to set capture to true, just use true directly. But if you want to set more options, then use an object. You can check the documentation for all the options. To sum up, today we learned about event propagation and its techniques. Bubbling, capturing, also called trickling, current target, this keyword. You now know all of this clearly. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you get asked in a job interview, what is event propagation? What is event capture? What is event bubbling? What is trickling? What is current target? What is this? You will be able to answer confidently. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Drop a comment to let me know your thoughts and share it with your friends so they can get benefited too. Most of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed yet. So if you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps me bring you more value-packed tutorials. And before I sign off, let me quickly mention our LogicBase Labs Facebook page. That's where we regularly share coding cheat sheets, design system guidelines, and tons of developer-focused content. If you want that kind of rich practical value in your feed, go follow the page. You will find all the links, GitHub, Facebook, everything right there in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.